Hi, I'm Michelle Werdeman, and I help people create their dream life by asking powerful questions, better questions, through mind, balance, and wellness living. You'll get clear about what you really want by achieving emotional freedom and strengthening your relationships. Through my foundational coaching and 19-year certified financial planning background, I guide you through your circumstances, thoughts, and feelings and show you how to take actions that give you the results you want. Contact me today at mbwliving.com to schedule your free 30-minute discovery call. Hello and welcome to the Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, certified life, weight, and career coach, and certified financial planner. What's up, my friends? Can I just tell you that this has been such a beautiful morning. I am sitting at my desk, which faces the window, and I live at the end of a cul-de-sac, and just looking out and seeing the sun, the really green grass, the trees, and listening to the birds, it kind of is what inspired me for today's podcast, because all I could do was smile, and I do smile a lot anyway, but no, I just, you know what? I smiled and I thought to myself, wow, how lucky am I that I get to sit here with this beautiful scene outside, get my work done, help clients, and spend my time the way that I want to spend it. And by that, I mean, I am very fortunate that I had an amazing career before this, but it was very structured. And, a lot of people know what that's like. It's, whether it's a 9 to 5 or, there's just so much structure around it, which again, I loved and I'm super appreciative for, because it has provided me so much knowledge, so much, so much goodness, so much everything, friendships, all that goodness. And it's allowed me to be where I'm at now. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people lately, especially as we are now post-pandemic, if you will, that I think a lot of people have realized that time is just so valuable, and you really can, create how you want to spend your time. And some people would argue with that in terms of, no, well, I have to do this and I have to do that. But think about it though, time is your life's currency. It's the one thing that you can't actually really create more of. And when I mean that, there's 24 hours in a day. There's no way that you're going to create 25, 26, even though some days you feel like you need those extra hours. But that's it. We all get 24 hours every single day. And it's how we spend our time that we get to actually create. So I thought today it would be kind of fun to share with you, and I'm going to put this in the show notes too. It's a PDF, but I have this really great workbook, if you will. It's called My Extraordinary Life. And it's learning how to feel healthy from your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I think, so many people come to me with overwhelm and they're stressed and they're anxious. And when you can align how you're spending your time, the quality of stuff that you're feeding your mind, your body, all of that, you can really spend your time the way that you want. You can create more efficient time. So like I said, we can't sit here and create more hours in a day, but we can create more joy, more meaningful time, if that makes sense. So I thought it would be kind of a little bit of, a little bit different than my normal podcast, but to actually share with you guys this, parts of this workbook, because I just think it's super, super important that we all just, take control of our own lives, take control of our own time. It's our currency after all. So we start this workbook with first looking on what is our definition of success. Like, what does success mean to you? And everybody can have their own definition of success, and it can change, right? So for me, years ago, my definition of success, and this was, again, like it changes, but I was like, I'm going to get a good job. I am going to try to make a lot of money, and I'm going to just work my way up the ladder while helping people and all that good stuff. And I was successful in my eyes. And then I got married, then I had kids, and then my definition of success started to change a little bit. And I didn't realize it was changing until I started to realize that, you know what? Like, when I get home some days, like I'm not showing up as like the mother that I wanted to be or the wife that I wanted to be. And I was sometimes stressed out and anxious and angry and all of that stuff. And while everything looked really great on paper, great job, 2 kids, house, vacation house, like all that stuff, I still felt like something was missing. So I think it's super important to ask yourself, like, what is the definition of success? So like for me right now, success is exactly what I'm doing right now. Like I said earlier, like looking outside, listening to the birds, recording this podcast. I helped 2 clients this morning that had such amazing like aha moments. Like that for me is success. And being here in the morning for my kids, like I've shared this before on one of my other podcasts. I was almost never here in the mornings because of my commute. So my husband did a lot of the morning stuff. And once I transitioned and I created my business and I was home, I'll never forget the first day of school in like that first week, making my kids breakfast, like not just throwing cereal in a bowl. Now, mind you, I do that a lot. I'm not saying that, but, and I make my kids do that for themselves now. But no, like I made French toast and I made like bacon and all of this stuff. And my kids left and I just cried a little bit because I was like, oh my God, I've never been able to do this before. So like little things like that is success. And teaching my kids how to make their own breakfast is successful in my book right now. But yeah, so I encourage you to stop and think about, what does success mean to you? Because that will give you a vision of how do you want to, like what needs to shift? How does your time need to shift? What priorities do you have? And that's where you can kind of create your own roadmap. And again, I love doing this exercise with people. And really, like, what does happiness look like? So there's success and there's happiness, and they go hand in hand, I think. But yeah, like what does happiness look like on a typical day for you? Like a typical week for you? Like what does that look like? And then I think it's really important, and I've learned this from all different people that I follow and mentors and everything, is who do you know that lives an extraordinary life? Who do you know that is successful? And I've had this conversation with some people, and, some people are like, oh, I can't really think. I don't know. Like, I don't really know who's living an extraordinary life. Because also it's important too, like we may think somebody is living a particularly extraordinary or successful life when in reality, like to them, they're not. So it doesn't have to be one particular person, but I think it's a great, thing to think about, like, because what have they done to get there? And what's huge about this, and I love the whole idea of finding a mentor, and because if somebody's already invented or found a way to something that you want, skip all of the trial and errors, right? And follow in their shoes in that particular area. So when we were going through, certification for life coaching, like years ago, part of, after we got certified, they had, if you wanted to build your business, here's the next 6 months. Like, so it was a path that we went down, and how to do Facebook ads, how to do websites, all of that was amazing because you're learning from people that have already figured it out. So right then and there, you are saving a bunch of time. So if you find somebody that's already done what you want to do, like follow their path you're going to save yourself so much time. But yeah, like I have different people that I think are amazing for different reasons. Like Tony Robbins, like, huge, obviously, life coach. Like there's a million reasons why I look up to him, and I attend his mastery courses and learn from him because, his background and all of that. And then there's other people like Mel Robbins, who I love. She's actually from kind of our area. She's from Boston, and I'm right outside of Boston. But like, I learned different things from her, and it's like, okay, like they've already figured it out. And what's cool is I now can share things with people that I've figured out, creating a website, learning how to do a podcast. And now I can share those with other people and save them time. So I encourage you to think about, who is it that is living a successful life? And it could just be in one area. So you can have different people for different areas. But I would encourage you to kind of see where they've been, so that you can, like I said, skip the trial and error, right? And then I want you to think about, what is extraordinary about your life right now? Really, like we often tend to focus on, like when I think about the to-do lists, people go to bed at night and it's like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Gosh, what about thinking, what did I do? Like, what did I accomplish? Whether it's just going to the grocery store, like whatever, but it's when you focus on the positive and the celebrations and the things that you are doing right, you'll start to actually do more of them versus focusing on like what you didn't do. So the idea here is to think about what's extraordinary, what's successful about your life right now. Maybe it's your bank account. Maybe it's your relationships that you have. Maybe it's your career. Maybe you're at like optimal health. Think about the areas that are extraordinary now. And then, how did you get there? What sacrifices did you maybe make? What tools did you use? Who did you talk to? Did you have a mentor? Did you have a coach? And think about how you can utilize the steps that you took to make that part of your life successful, and how can you do that in other areas of your life. And then the next piece is, so everybody talks about having goals and dreams, and sometimes you know what they are, sometimes you don't. And what's important is to always dream big, right? I always tell people, I'm like, dream big as if like money wasn't an option, time wasn't an option. And just really let yourself explore everything, right? Just whatever you want, write it down, put it in front of you. And then what you do is, and it's all kind of tied into your success and your happiness and whatnot, but what we typically do in one of our initial meetings with clients is we look at kind of like a big vision board and then break it down into small pieces. Like we focus kind of on like 90 days, because sometimes when you put a goal out there and try from, let's say, like a year from now, our brain sometimes like starts to just go like, oh, whoa. Like that's too much, too soon. I don't know how I'm going to do all that. So the idea is to break the steps down for these goals no longer than 90 days out. And then what you want to do is be very, 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 very specific. So, for example, like one of the things that we do on our vision board is, wealth. That's one of the areas. And it's like, okay, well, what do I want to create in wealth over the next, 90 days? Maybe it's paying off a credit card or reducing debt or putting a certain amount in the bank. The more specific you can get with yourself, so you have an end date and time, and say, okay, by this time on this day, I'm going to have X, and whatever that is. It could be knowledge too. We have, so many like avenues of different ways that you can learn, whether it's listening to an Audible or a podcast or watching something on YouTube. Like knowledge is another area. Like, what do you want to learn over the next 3 months that's going to get you closer, or, just for shits and giggles, but like how are you going to learn? How are you going to expand? How are you going to move in a direction that's going to get you closer to your overall dream. And then an area that we actually talk about too is love. And love can look different for everybody. And, you know, whether it's self-love or loving your partner or your kids or, you know, what does your overall love succession, if you will, like what does love look like from an overall success standpoint for you? You know, and maybe it's working on your self-love, or maybe it's strengthening your relationship with your spouse, or, you know, a parent or a long lost friend. Like there's so many different areas that, you know, kind of incorporate into our lives. Like there's spirituality, there's, you know, your career, your health, like all these different areas. And I'm looking at the worksheet right now and I'm just like, I get goosebumps because I think about the areas where I have watched people completely transform. And it's amazing because I think if you don't take this time to actually stop, figure out what success looks like, what does happiness look like, what are the main areas in your life, and then break it down, it's kind of like, well, how do you think you're going to achieve that? You know what I mean? But yeah, and part of that is going back to, you know, the whole time situation and life's currency. And oftentimes, myself included, like we find ourselves doing things that we don't want to do, that stress us out, things we feel like we have to. We're afraid to say no because then we feel guilty. One of the things I go through with people is my not to-do list. And so the first question on that is really thinking about stuff that distracts you, like, and really just wastes your time. And I think everybody can agree, scrolling through Facebook and looking up and it's been 25 minutes, that could be one of them, or Instagram or something. Just saying. Not that I've ever done that myself. Kidding. But yeah, like being aware of the stuff that distracts you and wastes your time. And then like, what stuff are you doing that is stressing you out and gives you anxiety? What is stuff that drains your energy? And this is why I think it's so important to have like your not to-do list in the back of your mind or even written out. Because if it's wasting your time, it's stressing you out, it's giving you anxiety, it's draining your energy in things that you feel obligated, like you have to do. Like, why do you want to spend your time like that, where you can actually be spending your time being so much more fulfilled, so much more productive, in enjoying your time versus all the things that are on your not to-do list that you're currently doing that's creating the complete opposite. So there are things that, you know, we can't control that are going to just pop up, of course. But I encourage you to think about, what is my not to-do list, right? And where can you make tweaks to that? And when I tell you that there are going to be things that you're like, nope, I absolutely have to do that, I just can't, like, question that though. Like, I had someone, I think it was for soccer. It was like, you know, they were traveling all over for like this soccer, and the mom's like, I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. And I'm like, well, you don't technically have to do it. Are you choosing to do it because your daughter, you know, wants to do this? Yes. You don't have to do anything. And, you know, that's just like, you know, a crazy example, but like legit. So when you find yourself saying like, no, I have to do this, I have to go to the grocery store, I have to do whatever, just stop and think like, well, you don't really have to. You're making the choice. So again, like, look at your time. And one good way to actually do this is, we did this in a time management course that I did for coaching years ago, but it was, take a minute and write down everything you did for the last 24 hours, including sleep, including, you know, driving, whatever it was, and look to see like, okay, so that last 24 hours, and you can even go back, you know, 24, 48 hours and look at the last few days, and how does that align with what your success or your overall success vision looks like, your overall happiness. And what have you done over the last several days that is not lining up and moving you forward towards the success and the happiness? And what is? What are you doing that's actually working for you towards that? And it's very eye-opening, because that's where I think you'll probably find some of the stuff that is distracting and some of the stuff that does waste your time and gives you anxiety and overwhelm. It's so many people are just overwhelmed these days for so many different reasons. So it's a really cool exercise to do, to kind of, look at that and say like, oh, wow, like this either is moving me in the right direction or it's not, or it's a combination of both. So I think that's super cool. Yeah. And then I just think the more clear you can get, the more, just specific. Like I'll share with you one of the things that I want. And I was almost embarrassed to say it out loud. And because I had all these, thoughts about what people would think or how they would judge me when I said this vision and this goal that I wanted. But I was doing a Jack Canfield mastermind and I was like, you know what? So they sent us like these markers and these whiteboards, that you can write on. I, by accidentally, wrote with one of the permanent markers that they sent. I put that on the whiteboard and I'm like, you know what? This is a sign. It was meant to be on this whiteboard. I was meant to share it with people and it will happen. So what is it? It is to go. I love traveling. I love going on vacation. What I don't like is the whole travel, like being at the airport like hours early, all of like the craziness that goes into that. So I'm like, you know what I would love to be able to afford to do someday is go on a vacation in a private plane. Legit. Like, I would love to be able to do that. Like I see it in, the movies where it's just, I'm watching the show Succession now, which is really good, by the way. And they're taken, I don't need to own a private jet. That's not what I'm looking for. But I can't wait for the day that I create the opportunity for myself and who's ever coming with me on a private plane to our destination. Like, how cool is that? And the reason I don't tell people, or I didn't, it's out there now, but I was kind of embarrassed and ashamed, like that people would be like, oh, like she thinks she's so fancy or she wants this and that's greedy. And that's 100% not true. It's more just because I think that would be really cool to do. So that is one of my goals, and it is out there. And I'm looking actually at a picture of the inside of a private jet on my vision board right now. So stay tuned, because I can't wait to, maybe I'll do a podcast from this private jet someday. Who knows? But yeah, so I hope, you found some helpful tools in here just to kind of get you started, get you on your way, and have some more clarity around what really does success and happiness look like to you, and what are some steps that you can take to help you get there. And, if you want to reach out to me, my email, it's michelle@mbwliving.com. You can also go to my website and contact me through there, which is mbwliving.com. And you can schedule a free consultation. We can chat, see how I might be able to help you, because again, like, time is our life's currency. We cannot get it back. We cannot create more of. We can just create how we spend it. So I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.